That's everyone, Jason.
Everybody?
Everything's good? Okay, Jason, take off.
Good deal. Good morning, everybody. My name's Jason Likey. I'm your insurance agent on the trucks. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I really do appreciate it. I know that Dan and everybody really appreciate you guys being here for this safety meeting. We're going to talk about a couple different things. One, how DOT measures what you do on the road and how that affects the business and everybody else here. And then what to do in the event of an accident, what to say, what not to say, how to take pictures the right way, how to document the scene, that kind of thing. And then a few other common accidents. There's some information in here as well as the most common situations that happen out on the road. So this packet, everybody has one of these packets? Okay. So this is called a snapshot. All of the anytime you get a violation over the road, even if it's a warning, they track all of that and they compare Subsidium to other trucking companies that are about the same size. Okay, and so this report is what the insurance companies use when figuring out what your insurance costs are for renewal, whether or not they'll even quote it, but also litigation attorneys. If there's an accident and you're getting sued, they're going to pull all this information too. It's publicly available, and they know how to get it. So the things I want to point out to you, first of all, is the ISS score. So here at the top right, it says your estimated ISS or inspection score is a 62. It's yellow, it's optional. So how that works is this is the number that tells the cop whether or not to pull you over. So you come in contact with law enforcement, since you're in intermodal, you come into contact with a lot of law enforcement, more than a typical trucking operation, okay? So they type in your DOT number, and it says 62. If it was below 50, it's passed, they leave you alone, it'd be green on here. Between 50 to 74 is an optional inspection. Cop doesn't have to, but he can do an inspection. If it's above 75, then it's a mandatory inspection. This would be red, and the cop has to, he doesn't have a choice. At a minimum, he at least has to check your paperwork, level 3 inspection. He'd at least have to look your ID, your make card, at a minimum. And he doesn't have a choice. He could do a level 1 or level 2, but when you get to that point, or a trucking company that gets to that point, it feels like the cops are picking on you, and that's why, okay? Also, they'll use this against you. It'll either hurt or help you in court. So you'll notice here, it says that there's an alert. The basic alerts, there's one, this red triangle, okay? So what that means is that as compared to other trucking companies of similar size, they have different thresholds or different limits on the different categories of when you get a ticket. So if you go to the next page, in the top right corner, it says estimated basic scores. So this is, anytime you get a ticket or a violation or a warning, it's going to fall into one of these categories. Unsafe driving, hours of service, driver fitness, controlled substance, vehicle maintenance, hazmat, and crash. Okay? Right above it, you can see where it says thresholds, and it has like unsafe driving is 65%. In this case, vehicle maintenance 80%. So that anything above that, the government is saying that we have an issue. We need to improve, okay, and get that score down. All right. Right now, the estimated score for vehicle maintenance is 83, so it's barely over the alert stats. Alert for that is 80, and y'all are at 83. Everything else is perfect. So that's cause for concern, but also you have to understand too is that you're an intermodal, and the insurance companies understand that in intermodal, you'll typically have higher maintenance scores than a Joe Blow trucking company, because you're dealing with more police, and you're dealing with port chassis and things of this nature that are going to increase your scores. Okay, so they understand that, they give you a little leeway, but also in court, you can imagine somebody's in an accident, something happens, and you go to court, and they're gonna blow this chart up on a big old poster board and put it there and say, you're unfit to operate a trucking company. You don't care about safety. Look, you have alerts. Well, to a jury of your peers, people that know nothing about being a professional driver or a trucking operation, that attorney's job is to piss the jury off. That's their job. And to try to make an example. So these things are important, and a warning counts just as bad as a ticket. You can fight a ticket. You cannot fight a warning. And it counts just as much and lasts just as long against the company. So go to the next page. So this next series of charts, this is going to break it down by category for the violations that have happened over the last 2 years. So, and please guys, if you have questions, let me know, and that way I can clarify what I'm going through as we go through this. So, over the previous 2 years, these are all violations by category. Red is in the last 6 months, yellow is the last 7 to 12 months ago, and then green is 13 to 24 months ago. So this gives you a really good idea of what's affecting the company the most. And for most all trucking businesses out there, it's typically lights, tires, and brakes. That's the main area that plagues every trucking company. In y'all's situation, it's lighting. Now, lighting, anytime, what this tells a police officer, first of all, is pull me over, pull me over. If you're a light being out is so easy for a cop to go, ooh, I got this guy. He's got a brake light out. He's got a blinker out. He has a headlight out. He doesn't have to run your DOT number to see what your scores are or anything. You're just waving at the cop, pulling me over. And so, but it's also the easiest thing to fix when it comes to maintenance. So to look at the positive side of things, lighting's very easy. But what does this also tell? So then the next thing that's affecting the company is going to be, well, it's also lights, then brakes, and then a bunch of little stuff. Typically on this chart, if it's above 40, you really want to pay attention to what's affecting these violations. Less than 40 on this chart, I mean, that could be one pullover, right? Lighting is the easiest thing to fix because it's visual, just standing there. But also you have to think, lights burn out when there's a surge. Typically a light is not going to burn out when it's left on like this. A light's going to burn out when you turn it on. There's a surge. What that tells the DOT in the event of an audit, and what that tells a litigation attorney who's used to suing trucking companies, well, that tells them that you're not doing your pre-trip. Because if you're doing your pre-trip, you'd see that the light is out. Now, I'm not saying that lights don't ever go out, ever, in the course of driving, but I don't know about you, but I'm sitting at the dinner table, typically, the light doesn't just turn out. It's always when you turn the light on at the house or whatever, that's when the light turns off, that's when the light burns out. So if you're doing your pre-trips, you'd see that light is out, you can fix it before you go, okay? That's what they're going to look at. That's what they're going to try to prove. So now in court, what am I going to do if I'm an attorney? I want to see the DVIRs for this truck that was involved in this accident going back 1 year. And they're going to look at your pre-trip inspection and see, okay, well this truck has an out of service, this one has violations. Prove to me, the auditor would say, prove to me this stuff was fixed. Within 24 hours of this violation, I want proof. I want to see the DVIR, I want to see the receipts, I want to see the work order that proves it was fixed. They don't care how small it is. That's how the auditor's going to come at Subsidium, and they're going to find them. But what if it was a fatality accident? What if it was a bad accident, and they contributed part of the accident to brakes or lighting or whatever. It's foggy, your brake lights were out, they slammed into you, oh, you better believe they're gonna sue, and somebody's dead over it, right? So now in court, oh, wait a minute, this truck, it says nothing's wrong with it on the post trip. All week long, this truck, nothing wrong with it. But we've got lights out, and that's what was distributed. So you mean to tell me that you weren't doing, and they go back and they look at each violation, and they want it proved, but they're pencil whipping. You're pencil whipping the DVIR. I'm not saying that you guys are doing that. What I'm saying is this is what they're going to accuse you of, okay? And if you falsify that document, and they can prove that you falsified it, that you didn't do the pre-trip, because in a fatality, a lot of times they'll confiscate the truck and the trailer to do their inspection on it. And then they'll come up with what's actually wrong with it. And if they can prove that you falsified a DVIR, you can be held criminally liable for falsifying the documentation. So do your post-trip, and if it needs to be fixed, get it fixed. And then do your pre-trip. Nothing was wrong with it, and depending on company policy, you do have to do a pre and a post. But if there's no defects the night before when you're done for the day, then and nobody else drove your truck before you get in it, then again, it's up to company policy whether you do another pre-trip. But typically, you don't do a pre-trip because you did a post and everything was fine. You may do a walk around. There's no excuse for tires. But look at this page though. Next page. This is the timeline over the last 2 years. Okay? So the red box corresponds to red on the charts before a violation that happened in the last 6 months. So you'll see August is over here all the way to the right. July. Great month. No violations. So on here, the only violations that you guys have gotten the company has gotten in the last 2 years is maintenance. So a violation that happens in the last 6 months hurts you more than a violation that's older. So for the previous 6 months from right now, let's say a lighting ticket is, I don't know, say 10 points. Well, for the next 6 months, that's going to be times 3, 30 points against the company. Then after 7 months, it drops to times 2. And then after a year, 13 months, it's going to drop to times 1. And then after 2 years, it goes away. Okay? So the only thing that improves the score is time passing and no new violations. That's the only way to improve the score, okay? And so you can see June was a great month, July was a great month, August's numbers aren't in here yet, and as time moves on, things will improve. But this gives you a better visual representation of what's going on. Everybody affects everybody when it comes to vehicle maintenance and these violations. Go to the next page. This breaks it down by specific violation, okay? So you can see the inoperable headlamps is the number 1. Then it's hazard warning, inoperative defective hazard warning lamps. That's the second thing that's affecting. Then just an inoperable lamp. And then you got turn signals. These types of things produce out of services, okay? So this gives you a better breakdown of exactly what's affecting the business. Go to the next page. Here's the VIN numbers. Here's the culprits. It's not everybody. So when you look at this, you can see if your VIN number's on here, and that's you. Maybe some of these trucks might be gone by now. But everything that happens out on the road follows the trucking business for at least 2 years as far as violations go. Accidents follow the trucking company for 5 years. The insurance companies will look back 5 years to determine the rate that they pay at renewal, okay? And one driver out there getting a bunch of tickets, just blowing up a company's score, and then leaves and goes down the road and works someplace else. Well, guess what? It follows you too. There's a report called a PSP report, Pre-Employment Screening Program report. Subsidium runs that report. Other trucking companies do too. And that report, like an MVR, says what your motor vehicle report shows your moving violations for the previous 3, 5 years or full driving history. And when you get on boarded with a trucking company, they run that report. A PSP is going to show all the inspections that you've had in the last 5 years, or excuse me, 3 years, the last 3 years. and the trucking company you are leased to or working for when that inspection happened. It's gonna show all your accidents on there as well. And so when coming on board with a trucking company, they run that PSP, they can see all the violations you've had. So it will follow the driver too, and can affect your employment or where you're leased on to in the future as well, okay? Again, in court, they use this against the trucking company in court. Go to this next page here. This gives you specific data on those trucks that did have violations in the last 6 months. So when I look through these reports, I only pay attention to what's in red. I don't pay attention to the stuff that happened before it. This one, so the truck that's at the top here is truck ending in 8401. The total points contributed to the company are 54. The total weighted score, the percentage that's contributing is 19.22% of the total score is this one truck. And then you can see how you read this is the gray box is an out of service. So if there's a gray box in here, that indicates an out of service. And then the numbers in the parentheses indicate when the violation happened. It's not a date, it's when. So if there's a 1 as the first digit in these parentheses, that's one violation of that type produced this many points. If it's in the second, in the middle digit, that's yellow from the chart before, 7 to 12 months, and the last one would be green, it'd be older. So only focus on if there's a 1 or a 2 in the very first digit, and that corresponds to the truck. So that guy at the top has 2 out of services in the last 6 months for a required light lamp and an inoperative turn signal. So those 2 out of services hurt. They hurt so bad, and that's why the score is where it is. So remember how I said from before that anything over 40 is really what you want to pay attention to. There's concern there. You need to start getting things going in the right direction. There's 2 trucks that are over 40 out of everybody that have violations, and all those were in the last 6 months. But everybody else is under that. So this chart only goes up to 60, and 2 trucks are 54 and probably 50, which is not great, but it's not bad. Okay, this is a lot of the companies and my clients that I consult with and go over these charts can go up to 250, 300. You got trucks that have 150, 220 points on that one truck. So to have the highest trucks on here at 54, that's still pretty good, okay? So I know it's a lot of red across the sheet, but y'all are doing good, okay? A pre-trip, and let me ask y'all this: how long is a pre-trip supposed to take?
30 minutes,
15 minutes. Anybody else?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, 15 minutes,
15.
something like that.
Yeah.
So in court, they'll ask you that question if you ever end up on the stand, and I can tell you that's the answer they want you to say: 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Because then what they're going to come back and say, so you mean to tell me that you can do all of this and insure every single time? The correct answer is not 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. There is no time. It's kind of a trick question. There's no time that says a pre-trip should take this long. The correct answer is however long it takes for me to feel comfortable that the truck is safe to operate on the road. So if it takes an hour in your pre-trip because you're not convinced that this truck can be operated safely and pass, then it takes an hour. It takes 20 minutes. Could it take 15? Absolutely, it could take 15. But the right way to look at it is however long until I'm comfortable that this truck is good to go, right? So that's a little bit of a trick question for y'all. But, okay, so what to do in the event of an accident? How many people here have been in an accident in your truck? 1, 2, anybody else? Your fault or not, doesn't matter. 2, 3, okay? So, and out of you 3, did you get a ticket as a result of the accident? No, 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 okay. Which means DOT didn't determine it to be your fault. 80% of the accidents that happen with trucking, with a tractor trailer and someone else, 80% of those accidents are typically not the professional driver's fault. The insurance companies know that, the attorneys know that. But unfortunately, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. like some training day, right? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And because you're the professional driver, you're held to a higher standard than the general motor public. And so unfortunately, you're looked at as you're guilty until proven innocent. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes. There's big money in suing trucking companies. You have $1 million policy on every truck. And a lot of trucking companies have more than $1 million, $5 million in liability, $10 million in liability. So that's what those attorneys are going for. And a lot of times there's fraud, okay? You might be in an accident and they say, oh, it's no big deal or this or that or whatever else. 2 months later, you're getting sued. A year and a half later, you're getting sued, okay? And it happens all the time, okay? So knowing that, I'm going to paint a scenario for you guys, and we'll go through exactly what to say, what not to say, and exactly how that scene works. So let's say you're on 45, you're in the right lane, traffic's starting to slow, you got plenty of time to stop, so you're doing what you're supposed to do, and somebody from another lane doesn't have time. They cut you off, they get in front of you, and they slam on their brakes. Now all of a sudden, you don't have time to stop, right? You do everything you can to avoid hitting them, but you still rear end them. And it puts them across into the center wall, okay? If it's a major accident, you don't move the truck. But in this case, you can't, you can get off the road, you can pull off. So you pull off, you put your hazards on, okay? At that point, just take a second to gather yourself, okay? You could be in shock, your adrenaline is now pumping, you're probably pissed, okay? I get it. Don't jump out and, start raising hell. But take a minute, just gather your breath, gather your thoughts. You're gonna grab your cell phone, you're gonna grab your emergency equipment, your triangles, your accident kit that you've got in the glove box, you have an accident kit. Before you get out of your truck, please make sure that you're not gonna get ran over by passing traffic at that point. It does happen, okay? So exit your truck safely. So once you're there and you've done that and you've gotten stopped and you get out of the truck, what's the first thing that you should do at that point? What's the first thing you should do?
Make sure nobody's injured.
So check on the other people, see if they're injured or not, okay? Anybody else?
Call the police.
Call the police.
A safety blaze, to stand up.
To do what?
To get out of the truck, sometimes that happens that you're in the middle of the traffic
Yeah.
and you can leave the truck.
And you can't get out of the truck because you're in the middle of traffic, right?
Yeah,
So you've got your hazards on, but you're stopped in the middle of traffic and you can't get out, right?
exactly.
Okay? But you've got to exit. You can't stay in the
We
truck.
have to.
You have to, right? It's dangerous. So you've got okay, so I can tell you that your heart tells you typically in an accident is what you just said, check on the other people. That is not what you do. Your first and it doesn't sound good because it kind of sounds cold-hearted, but it is your number one priority. Obviously, yes, you're going to call 911 first. You're going to call 911 and you're going to protect the scene. It is your job to ensure that no further injury is caused or happens to the public. There's already one accident. We don't want another, a second, a third, a fourth to all happen. So your job is to protect the scene and slow down traffic. That's your job at that point, okay? So you get out, you've got your triangles, if you have a flare, whatever, you need to slow traffic down. Wave your hands, do what you gotta do, slow traffic down. Hopefully you were able to get off the side of the road one way or the other, but you need to set out those triangles, that's what you need to do, okay? And slow traffic down. So while you're doing that, at some point, at the first chance you can get, after protecting the scene, is to call 911, okay? Let them know where you are, what happened. Basically, there might be injuries, you're not sure, send help. Hang up the phone. So when you protect that scene and you're slowing down traffic, how far do you put through the triangles? Behind the truck.
It depends if you're on a hill or downhill, the flat
Or
surface
curve.
on the curve.
So what if it's just flat? Because a lot of what we're gonna see is pretty
I
flat
think it's
right now.
about 25, 50, and 75.
Close.
100.
I believe it, and I always screw this up, so, I believe it's 10, 50, and 100. I know the last one's 100 for sure. For whatever reason, I can never remember. But you need to remind yourself of how far back you put those triangles. They're that far back for a reason, because when somebody sees them, they need time to stop. And 100 feet's not that far when you're going 60, 70 miles an hour and you're trying to hit the brakes, okay? So those hazards need to work. That's also why you get an out of service for a blinker not working, because in the event of an accident, that blinker needs to work, you know, to let people know you are stopped. And if you're stopped for more than, so you've now protected the scene. You're convinced at this point, just like in a pre-trip, you're convinced that traffic has slowed and there's no further injury going to come to the public. Now you can go over to the vehicle. And you, at some point during this point, when you're getting over there, you need to call, who do they call here? Call Dan and let him know where you are. Real quick, I'm over here, this is what happened. If they can come out to the scene, they'll come out to the scene, okay? But just let them know real quick, hey, I'm over here, had an accident, you know. When you go check on that other person, do not, under any circumstances, tell them you're sorry. Why do you not tell somebody that you're sorry?
Make yourself guilty.
They make you.
It can be interpreted. It doesn't mean that you're guilty. It doesn't mean that you're admitting to fault, but it can be interpreted that way,
Yeah.
right? And so when they ask, oh, well, so what happened? What they came? Oh, he just came up to me. He told me he was sorry and this and that and whatever. No, you don't say you're sorry. You don't admit fault. You don't even know what really happened. There's your version, your point of view. There's their version, their point of view. And there could be eyewitness point of view, and eyewitness testimony is not very reliable, okay? And then there's the truth. And where do you get the truth from?
Dash cam.
Dash camera, okay? So just the example I love to use is you paint a big number 6 on the floor here. And I say it's 6. What do you say?
9.
It's 9. Well, are we both right? Depends on your point of view. So that dash camera is so critically important because police reports are wrong. The police are not an eyewitness. They come up and they assess the situation, listen to the testimony or the statements of everybody, and they make a determination. But that determination is based off of people, humans, okay? And some physical evidence, but that dash camera is what tells the truth. So don't talk about the accident, what happened leading up to it. Don't blame the other person and start getting mad and this and that and whatever else. What you're going to say is, I've called 911, help is on the way, my insurance company is going to want to get in contact with you. We go ahead and exchange information. Now, you have to keep calm. You might be pissed. They're probably pissed. Screaming, yelling, whatever. You need to remain calm, okay? You dictate. You're the professional. You've had training. You've had safety meetings. You've talked about these things a lot more times than some Joe Blow who got in an accident or a lady that's got her kids in the car and she's screaming, freaking out, and whatever the case is. So you need to stay calm, even when they're acting that way, all right? The reason why you don't discuss is because you truly don't know, and it's against company policy to discuss the accident with anybody other than the police officer and company reps. Okay. So you're gonna do exactly that what I just said. Help's on the way. Let's exchange information. My insurance company's gonna want to get in contact with you. Why do you say it that way? Why do you say my insurance company's gonna want to get in contact with you instead of I need your insurance info? You said the same thing. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. One is gonna, it's like getting honey with you get bees with honey, then better than vinegar. It's your approach to it. They're in their mind probably gonna draw the conclusion, oh, okay, let's get this taken care of. They're gonna give you the information. They're at least their contact info at a minimum. My guys need to get in touch with you. We need to get all this taken care of. That doesn't mean you're saying that it's your fault that they're going to take care of it. So think about that. You got to get contact info. Do not touch them. The only way that you touch them is if they're in imminent danger of dying. That's it. If they're bleeding out, if they're on fire, and you got to grab them and rip them out of that car to save their life, that is the only reason why you would touch them at all. Okay? But otherwise, you don't touch them. Most people in an accident are going to be walking around. By the time you even get over there, they're on their phone, called their husband, their wife, they called their insurance people, they're on their phone walking around. But you need to exchange information. Now, you've got your phone, right? You got your cell phone. It's really quick to snap a picture of their ID, let them take a picture of your ID. Snap a picture of their insurance card, let them take a picture of yours. Okay? You need at least 2 ways to get in contact with them. If you don't get contact information and the cops show up, they separate you. Everything that we're talking about right now, you need to get as much of it done before the police get there. Because when the police get there, they will separate you. They will not let you talk. Okay? And then you're not going to be able to figure out how to get... We won't. The insurance company, not me, but the insurance company needs to be able to contact these people as quick as humanly possible. Okay? To get this knocked out. Either to tell them to F off because it truly is their fault, or to settle it because we can see in the video, oh, that was our fault. We need to get this thing settled quick. Okay? So get 2 phone numbers, cell phone, a house phone, a cell phone, their spouse's phone, an email. Get 2 forms of communication to get in contact with them. Okay? Now, if they don't want to give you any information and they're being difficult, that's okay. It's fine. Hopefully they do. You're exchanging information, then you need to start documenting the scene. You need to document their vehicle first before you document your truck. Because when the cops get there, again, the cop may tell you to stop taking pictures. Don't take video. He can tell you to do that. But this is not a crime scene. This is an accident investigation, and our company policy in the insurance says I need to document the scene. We're in public. You don't have to have somebody's consent to video them or take their picture. You're in public. You're not on private property. You're not in somebody's house. You can video all you want. You can take pictures all you want. Okay? But if the cop tells you to stop, don't piss the cop off. Right? That just can only end up bad for you. So respect what the cop's going to tell you to do, but again, try to get as much of this done before he gets there. All right. So you've now hopefully exchanged information. If not, and they won't play ball, then go ahead and start documenting. So the first thing that you need to do is get a picture of their VIN number. Where can you get a picture of their VIN number at?
Driver's side?
The what?
Windshield?
Hmm?
The windshield.
The windshield, right there, right by the right there. You can snap a picture of the VIN number. Hopefully they don't get away. Stay away from my stuff, whatever. The next thing from that point is going to be you need to step back 20, 30, 50 feet. You need to step back and get pictures of the scene. Okay? I don't want a picture 3 inches away from a scratch because that don't help me. I mean, it's okay to take that picture, but I need to know what happened. All right? We're going to do a time capsule in time of everything surrounding this incident. That's what we need. Okay? So if this is their vehicle, right, you need to step back and get 360 view. Not just of the damage. I want pictures of where there's no damage also. So step back off the corner. Again, don't get ran over. And we've already talked about all that. But you want to take a picture down the corner. So you're going to get this side and this side. The back and the side. Okay? Get a picture. And you can do video too if you want. But do one picture like that where you can see the damage and you can see the license plate. Because if you can't get that VIN number, you got to get a picture of that license plate. And when you're doing this and you're getting all four corners, 360 around that vehicle, and there might be multiple vehicles, so you're going to do, you got to get the whole scene. Make sure you get something, a landmark in the picture, like a sign, business sign, road, whatever. It could be part of the road, it could be a tree, it could be a business, it could be anything that is permanent in the ground. Get those things in the background, okay? Because that will prove where the car is. These attorneys can lie in court. We can't. You can't. But the attorney can make whatever accusation they want. They're already doing that. Oh, my guy's injured. He's got back problems and this and that, and he PTSD, and he can't go to work. Whatever. We're suing for $5 million. But I see all we did was take the mirror off. I don't understand. No, he can't go to work. They're going to say all this BS. Okay. They'll move the scene of the accident. Their attorney will argue that it happened 100 feet this way, right? When it really didn't. Those pictures are very valuable. You need to document where it happened. If there's skid marks, get pictures of the skid marks. But again, step back to get the scene of where they are. Any debris. So you'll document and do theirs first. Because if the cop shows up at this point and he tells you to quit, you're done with theirs. It's a lot harder for him to say, don't take pictures of your own truck, right? So you've now documented that scene around that vehicle. Now you can do yours, okay? And yours is a lot longer, a lot bigger, so you're going to do it now. In the process of all of this, if you can get them on camera, whether it's a picture or a video of them walking around, talking on the phone, if they're taking anything. We had one where the dash camera picked up got footage of this guy lifting he had two, those big bags of dog food. They're like 50 pounds or 60 pounds or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? He was taking them out of his trunk, put them in his wife's car. He had two of them, and he's picking them up. He didn't use his legs, he used his back, right? You're supposed to lift with your legs. And we got him on camera, on the dash camera, because it was still running, him taking this stuff out, but then he's claiming he's got back issues. Well, hold on, is that really from the accident? Or you're lifting these with your back? That's the improper form, right? I mean, you can imagine in court what you're saying, right? So get them on camera if you can. Walking around talking, no injuries. And your phone, you can turn on the video, and if you have a pocket like you have, you can put the phone right there, and you've got a body cam. Okay? Every now and again, look at it, make sure it's still recording. You don't want a 2-hour video, so you might stop it and then record it and start recording again, but you can do that. Or record, have it in your hand and press record. Just hold it in your hand like this. And you'll get them on camera, and you can talk, and you'll get them saying what they're going to say. Okay? They might be apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't see you there. I was getting on the freeway, merging. So, you've documented the scene. The cops are there. You've exchanged information. Maybe somebody from Subsidium has showed up to assist. You cannot drive at that point. Okay? Especially if it's a DOT accident. Okay? So a DOT recordable accident is. Oh, and I forgot to say this. When you're documenting the scene, please do not video or take pictures of blood, okay? If they're injured, don't take pictures of that. If they're getting put on a stretcher to be taken in an ambulance and stuff, don't take video and pictures of that, okay? We don't want pictures of blood, we don't want pictures of, okay? Because why would you not want that?
Because you have different insurance.
They're gonna use it again. So anything you say can and will be used against you, right? Say as little as possible, document it, and let the dash camera tell the story. You don't need to tell the story. Now you're still going to give your statement to the cop, but you're not going to tell them what you were doing 5 miles up the road. You're going to say, I was in this lane doing this, and then this is what happened, right? And but the dash camera is so important. We had a guy on 610. On 610, you're going towards 610 South. There's that exit for 90. It goes off. It kind of goes off and goes like that when you're, I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got dash camera footage, our guy's in the right lane, and a white pickup truck comes across 2 lanes around another tractor trailer. So if this is us and this is another tractor trailer, this white truck comes across all those lanes to try to make that 90 exit on the right side. He doesn't make it. I mean, he gets, those barrels are right there, and he whips it right back onto 610, and he loses it into, there's some like grass and some plants or something there. He rolls his white, F-250 or something. Our driver pulls over to render aid to see if he's okay. And he's doing that, and these 2 other cars pull up in front. You can see it on the dash camera. And they come running back to him like, don't you move, don't you go anywhere, I saw you, you ran him off the road, you caused that accident. We're calling the cops. And the driver's going, well, hold up, I'm just a witness. I was trying to help. Now we've got 2 hostile eyewitnesses, okay, that think they know what they saw. We've got a driver, this person who's gonna sue, probably a $250,000 claim or more. Your job's now on the line, okay, because of this. The trucking company's insurance in a case like this is gonna really mess things up, and that can affect everybody in the business. And insurance can put a trucking company out of business. That shit's expensive, okay? It's one of the biggest expenses that they have. And every single thing that you do, every single day, all little by little culminates and affects the insurance and also what happens in court. So that's why it's also very important. So the cop's writing our guy a ticket, and he tells him, if you would please, officer, take a look at the dash camera footage. I was just pulling off to render, to help before you write the ticket. So the cop says, okay, I'll look. And so he shows him the footage, and he goes, man, get out here. So that went from a $250,000+ claim to 0, to nothing, right? That dash camera is so incredibly important, okay? There's a lot of fraud out there. We got people putting their car in reverse and backing into us, and then saying we rear-ended them. We've got people on I-10 that it's staged, and there are 2 cars, and they get in front of you, and they wait until somebody's on the side of you as well, and they both hit their brakes at the same time so that you rear-end this guy, and this guy gets out of there. Okay, we had footage of that, and I'm going, why did he stop? There's no reason for him to stop, but he did. He caused the accident. And then I can't feel my legs, and life flight's coming, and they're using the jaws of life to cut him out of there, and they're suing for all this money. And then I'm like, can you get the footage, go back? These people got on the highway together for 7 miles, followed each other, switching lanes, this and that, slowing and speeding up. Then we got on camera, and now all of a sudden they're slamming their brakes. She was orchestrated. They hired 4 different attorneys, and every single one of them dropped the case. But the trucking company's got $1 million claim over their head for 2 years, and their insurance triples for 2 years, 3 years. Then it finally goes away. But the damage is, that dash camera is so damn important. Okay, if it's your fault, at least we know right away. We can settle this thing quick and make it go away as fast as possible. But if it is your fault, if it's not your fault, the insurance company's going to say, get the hell out of here. Okay? So it's very important. So if it's DOT recordable is hearse, nurse, or tow with a ticket. So when do you need a hearse? Somebody's dead, right? A fatality. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. If a fatality happened, you have to go get a post-accident drug test. And you got to do it as soon as humanly possible. Okay? Within 4 hours of that accident, you better have a drug test done. Okay? Doesn't matter who's at fault. You don't even have to have a ticket. Doesn't matter. Fatality, you have to have a post-accident drug test no matter what. Now, nurse and tow. When do you need a nurse? If you're hurt, you're injured, or tow away. Any vehicle's towed. So if somebody is removed from the scene, anybody is removed from the scene as a result of an injury, and you get a ticket, you got to take a drug test no matter what. Or tow away. Anybody was towed from the scene and you get a ticket, you have to take a drug test. That's DOT recordable accident, and you have to. Now, company policy is company policy. You take a drug test no matter what, or is company policy only if it's DOT recordable?
Affordable.
If it's DOT recordable, okay.
Used to be matter what.
Okay. So, and if a non-DOT drug test is actually, they test for more, it's like a 10-panel drug test, whereas a DOT drug test, things like 7-panel. Anyways, you can't drive to take that drug test. Somebody has to come pick you up, or a mobile drug test, people have to be there, or there's a company that will give you a drug test kit you can keep in the truck, and the police officer can administer the piss test there at the scene, and they just drop it in FedEx. So, but the long and short of it is you cannot drive to go take that drug test. Somebody else is gonna have to, and they're going to arrange for somebody else to come get that load, whatever the case is. You might have tow truck there that's uprighting everything, and that's all gonna get worked out, but you can't drive until a clean drug test comes back. So you're not driving for at least 2 days, 24 hours to 48 hours.
What about if you're out of town?
Can't drive.
For real?
Yep.
That's a new thing, or?
No, that this is, you go to court, you better not. I'm playing devil's advocate, right? My brain has to work. The insurance company says, can we defend you in court? And then what's gonna happen in court, right? And so they don't know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you weren't impaired. And so what any reasonable and prudent person would do is what they say in court. What a reasonable person would do would say, this is DOT recordable. We have to make sure that you're good to drive again, and we can't do that until we get back the clean drug test. So, you're down for that long. That's just how it goes, okay? Well, at least until that clean drug test comes back. If you're out of town and whatever the case, again, it's what's reasonable. What if you're in the middle of nowhere? Well, you know, and the police officer says you're good, you're fine to go. Then you're fine to go, you gotta get to the nearest hospital. Because in an emergency room, they can give a DOT drug test, okay? One place isn't open, or you can't get a mobile place to come and do it, okay? And maybe it's 10 hours before you get a drug test done. They're gonna have to include a note as to why it took 10 hours. But they have to preserve everything surrounding that accident. Your logs, your maintenance records, the police report, any documentation. They have to preserve all of this stuff, because these other people have 2 years to sue. 2 years. Even for a scratch on a door. Oh, everything's cool, my cousin will take care of it. We'll get in touch with you. I'll give you an estimate. We don't need to involve the police or the insurance. Cool. 2 months goes by, you still can't get a hold of this person. 3 months, 4 months goes by, you still can't get a hold of this person. All of a sudden, we're getting sued. The insurance company's going, what the hell, we didn't know about this accident. We don't have any evidence to dispute this or anything. What do you have? It's a late reported claim. The insurance company's now pissed because they're caught off guard, okay? This happens all the time. You think it's no big deal, and now all of a sudden they're getting sued. And even something small like that, you've got to document it. The exact same way I just said, I don't care if you took off their side mirror. I don't care if it's a little scrape. You have to document it the same way. You get your phone, just record, walk around their vehicle, get their contact information, okay? You should involve the cops, but if they're not involved, you still have to document it, just like this. Because what they're hoping is, they got 2 years to sue. They're hoping 11 and a half months, not 11 and a half months, 23 and a half months, right before the statute of limitations is up, they sue. They're hoping you don't work for the trucking company anymore. They're hoping that they didn't keep any of the information. And so now what? The insurance company, all they can do is settle. You're claiming you got injuries, you're claiming your car's messed up. They're the one with the pictures, we don't have pictures. You gotta report it, you gotta document it, you gotta get that in, okay? In court, they're trying to prove negligence. They're trying to piss the jury off. That's what they're gonna try to do, okay? And they're going to do anything and everything possible to try to prove that you're negligent or the trucking company is negligent in some kind of way. Okay? So all of these things are crucial when handling that accident scene. What to say, what not to say, how to document and preserve the evidence. So because you are on the front lines. What you do in that moment will determine how everything goes from that point forward. Okay? And so that's why it's very, very important. Any questions?
Like, you know, this is the story for, you know, or driver, you know, the same thing that you're saying, you know, I hear like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And what the insurance companies do against, fraud, against the authority, because, it's like everywhere, every city, every state.
Yeah.
You see the big signs, 18-wheeler accident, you just
Mhm.
call, and it's a fraud. Everybody knows it's a fraud. What the insurance company do against that?
So, unfortunately, again, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, right? And when the insurance company and even the truck company knows that this is BS, this accident's bullshit, they backed into me, or I'm on the highway and they entered the highway, they have to yield. I have my lane, I'm in the right lane, I'm moving, and they came into my lane. And you're pointing the finger at them and they're pointing the finger at you. Again, the dash camera gets rid of the fraud, most of it, right? That's why it's so crucial. That dash camera is going to show you didn't leave your lane, but there was an accident. Well, you came in my lane. No, I got dash camera footage, right? And a lot of times they'll go away. As soon as they find out you have a dash camera, you don't hear from them again, okay? But a dollar is a dollar to the insurance company. And let's say you're the insurance company. Everybody in here, you're the insurance company. You have $1 million insuring me, okay? I'm in an accident. You know it's not my fault. You know. It's your $1 million on the line. You have to pay it depending on what happens with the court. You have a duty to defend me. You know it's not my fault. These people want 50 grand. You know you can go to court. It's going to cost you 100 grand to go to court. But you know that you won't have to pay the guy who's trying to sue. But it's going to cost you 100 grand to go to court and fight this thing and win. And you're sure you're going to win. But they're not. Or pay $20,000, get them a new car, make it go away. Again, it's your money. What are you going to do? You going to pay the 100 and be right and be prideful? Or are you going to pay the 20 and go get it?
The last one.
Cost of doing business, right? Unfortunately, that's what all these people are after. They just want to settle. Jim Adler's a settle attorney. So the insurance companies really, he's the easy one to deal with, because he'll settle. These other guys that want to go, oh, we're $1 million, and we're not selling for nothing less, and all this kind of stuff, those are the ones, So unfortunately, yes, there's a lot of fraud. They try to get as much of it as possible. Dash cameras are becoming more mandatory. Your insurance company is mandatory that you have a dash camera. It makes claims go away. You can't dispute what's on I have a dash camera in my personal phone. Okay? You $150, $100 on Amazon, $50. Install it and plug it in, or install it so that it's hardwired in. Dash camera is worth its weight in gold, because people on the scene will lie. They'll change their story. And all we want is the truth. Okay? So it's very, very important that you are doing your pre-trips, because lighting, it gets you out of service. It hurts so bad. Do your post-trip. Make sure that things are repaired so that you're ready to go the next day. And you're not stuck on the side of the road, man. It sucks up your time. It's better that it's done in the morning beforehand or at the end of the day and you're done. Okay? Save your receipt. Turn your receipts in. You have to. It's the law. I don't care if you're an owner-operator or not. Do I have to? No, you do. You have to. Okay? Just as if it was a company driver or an owner-operator, you have to abide by the same things. You have a lease agreement. Everything in that lease agreement you've agreed to, and that's also turning in your DVIRs, turning in your receipts for repairs, turning in the work orders. All of that has to be maintained. If they get audited, they're going to come in and they're going to say, prove to me this was fixed. And if they don't have the documentation, they're screwed. They'll get fined, and they can even shut down the business. It's not just the maintenance files, it's the driver files too. There's certain stuff that has to be in there, and they can get fined if not, and they can get shut down if not. And then if it goes to court, they're going to subpoena those files. They're going to take the driver files. They're going to take the maintenance files on the trucks, the chassis, all of them. And they're going to use that to make sure everything matches up and everything was done the right way. Because if it's not, it's going to get real bad in court. Okay? Even with company policies, it's not personal. Company policy is the company's Bible. It has to be followed. If it's not, they'll use that against you. So, hopefully this gives y'all some perspective of what's happening behind the scenes from the insurance standpoint, from the lawyer standpoint, from the company standpoint of why all those things are important, right? And hell, even if you get in an accident in your personal vehicle, do the same damn thing. Document it that way. It will be beneficial to you to document it that way too, and have that dash camera in your personal vehicle as well. Okay? Any other questions? In your packet, this is just kind of an example of what we just went through, accident procedures. The next thing is an accident report, the kind of information you need to be gathering, okay, at the scene. And then the most common accidents that typically happen, rear end, lane change, turns, and distracted driving. So in here, there's a page or two on each of these things. This is for prevent rear end collisions. It's the most common. It's also, you can't really defend against that in court. If you rear end somebody, it's your fault, no matter what, right? But if they cut you off and slammed on their brakes and you rear-ended them, now that's a different story. The only way you're going to be able to prove that is dash camera. That's it. So anyway, rear-end collisions, lane changes, where your blind spots are. Guys, I know that you know a lot of this information, but I go to seminars and refreshers and safety things. I know most of everything I'm going to hear when I get there. There's maybe 5 or 10% of something new that I'm going to pick up. Oh, I didn't know that. Read this. Go through it. Refresh yourself on these things. A right-hand turn. There's a proper way to block that lane so they don't come and squeeze in there and get next to you when you're making that right-hand turn. Make sure you're making proper right-hand turns. Because if you don't block that lane and you turn from the second lane, it's an improper right-hand turn and you're still in fault, even though they could see me, they have a blinker. I got a blinker on, they knew I got so anyways, right turns, tires. There's no reason why you should ever have a ticket for a bald tire or tread under. Tires don't go bald overnight. I know you're trying to squeeze a few more miles out of your tires, but there's really no excuse for those types of violations. And yeah, tires. So if you didn't sign in, please sign in. Any other questions for me? Good. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you so much. I'll try to do this similar meeting each year as a refresher, because when this stuff happens, your adrenaline's pumping. Sometimes you forget. And that was a simple accident. A lot of times accidents with tractor trailers, you can't even tell how many people were in the car because it's so bad. There are scenarios like that. So try to remember this when you're going through any kind of scenario and dealing with those people. Okay? Thank you guys. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.